All right, so we've looked at a lot of the basic building blocks in Liferay. So we've looked at users, that user organization piece. We looked at access control with roles and permissions, and we've looked at how to build sites as well. And one of the things that we talked about already is that sites are groups of content and pages. Okay, so obviously with sites, we want to engage our users with content in some way, shape, or form. That might be through a public site, that might be through a private site. And the way we do this is through the use of widgets and assets. So in this section, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the concept of assets in Liferay in context of our Liferay sites. So what is an asset? An asset in Liferay is a different content type that you can use to engage your users with content on the platform. Okay. The asset framework includes a number of features for these different assets, and all of this sort of comprises the traditional way of doing content management on Liferay. Okay, so what are the different content types available? Well, if you look on your platform and go into the site administration panel, open up that content section, you'll see the list that we have here. Okay, we have things like web content, documents and media, blogs, wikis, message boards, etc., etc. While they each have their own individual uses and use cases, they are all considered assets in a framework where we have some common features across the board. So what features do we have for the asset framework? Well, first of all, the big one is metadata. What we can do in the asset framework is we can use either tags or categories or different metadata to keep everything unified. Even if we're using different assets, we can use this metadata to provide an experience for our users where they're able to search and find any kind of content using the metadata available. Okay. Otherwise, we have things like permissions. Okay, we have permissions on a number of the resources. This is also true with our assets. We can relate the different assets together as well. So for example, if the Livingston Hotels and Resorts are coming out with a new hotel and they have some marketing copy about that, but they also want to relate that to the blog announcement or something along those lines, you can actually relate those together on the platform. All right, alongside this are things like categories and comments, view tracking, workflow integration, and you can also use certain tools to display our assets. Okay, so all of our assets have a corresponding widget that you can use, and then you have some larger full-scale widgets like the asset publisher that you can use to display your assets in the way that you configure and you decide. All right, so let's take a look at a few of the options here. So we have web content, which is one of the most widely used assets on the platform. And the reason for this is because we have both the Alloy editor, and for front-end developers, we have things like our structures and templates. Okay, these can be used to do simple text and images using that Alloy editor, or front-end developers can go in and provide their own styling, their own branding using some of the UI technologies available on the platform. All right, alongside that, we have documents and media. And documents and media can be used in tandem with web content. For example, if we had images from a particular press event or something along those lines, and we wanted to display those in web content, we can do that. But documents and media also allow us to manage any other kind of document you might need on the platform. PDFs, audio files, video files, slideshows, anything along those lines. Okay, and again, like we've mentioned, what this allows us to do in the asset framework is have these different kinds of content types and have some common features and even metadata to sort of unify this for the sake of our users and for the sake of organization. Now in 7.1, I mentioned this a lot earlier, there are some new content creation tools as well. Okay, these do not necessarily fit into the asset framework, but they are a new content option for the different content teams and even the marketing teams. Okay, the ones that I'm specifically referring to are page fragments and the content display pages to display those page fragments. Okay, now these page fragments do require some more knowledge of the front end, so you need to have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge to create them. But to use and modify them, you can just go ahead and place them on a page, and you can even edit the content that is on there. Okay, so for example, if I had a banner that I wanted to have on a page, that banner would require a background image, perhaps a header, some subtext, okay, maybe even a link. What I can do is I can have my front-end developers create that page fragment for me. And of course, a page fragment just means it's literally a fragment of the page. And what I can do is I can make each of those elements editable. So my marketing team can actually go in, they can change the background image for different contexts, they can change the title, they can change that subtitle, and they can even change the link if they need to as well. Okay, so what this allows us to do is predefine different fragments that I want on each of my pages and have my marketing teams sort of take that and run with it and do whatever they need to do according to the requirements of our business teams. So to wrap this up, Liferay has a number of assets. These are sort of the traditional content types that you can use on the platform. They live within the asset framework, which gives them a number of common features, okay? We have things like web content, which allow you to create and generate content quickly and efficiently. You can house your documents through documents and media as well. And that could be any sort of kind of document. And we are able to organize things in both content and documents with some folders. And we also have some of the new features that are not technically within the asset framework, but allow us to have a different way of generating content quickly and managing that with our different teams available. All right. So the next section, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different tools that we can use to display our assets on our site pages. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.